Yeah, really fun day. Very anticlimactic in terms of nothing dramatic happened. That's how we like it. And I think it goes back to really how our coaches started this process a year ago. And that's really what it is. It's a year process. We feel awesome about it. We feel great about these kids. We've just done so much homework on them. And to us, it's kind of like Christmas Eve around here. So we got all these great presents that we just can't wait to open them. You really can't see them do anything until they get here in the summertime. And even then, it's not really football. It's kind of weights and those type of things. And so we're really excited in early August to let these guys go. But, I think, just the whole process, we like these guys, these kids. I think it's, on paper, it's exactly what you want it to look like. And now we're excited to see how they progress and develop. And, that being said, you guys ask the questions you want to answer.
You've been doing this for a few years now, obviously, Voice of State now here, with the Twitter and all the social media. Do you, as you're out there talking to guys, do you see or kind of get a feel for communication among recruits, some of the kids who may have declared, talking to the ones that haven't, and so on? Do you get that feeling when you're talking to kids, or is that something you're not?
I'm probably not in the loop as much with that as probably goes on out there. I think they pay attention to each other. I don't know how much direct communication goes on, those type of things. I mean, sometimes I think guys come into a place, they get excited and they're trying to convince other guys and those type of things. I think our kids that are on our team right now did an unbelievable job. And I really think that that's how it needs to be. And I always say this, I think our top recruiters should be our players. If your program's run the way it's supposed to be, I think that those guys, we can get them here, we can tell them all this stuff, but I want it to come from our players in terms of what the expectations are and how it really is when you're here. And I think when the program is set up right and running right, those are the guys, because that's what everybody wants. They want to be in that locker room and feel connected. I mean, they want to feel family. And they want to play good ball. They want to be around guys that are like them. And so that's why this recruiting process, in terms of, it certainly starts with talent, but that just gets us into the door. And if they don't have the other things, the competitive spirit and the passion for football and just being a good person, if they want to be a good team, all those things, it all matters. Because like-minded people want to be around each other. So that's what we had. I think our players did a really nice job with this as well.
Coach, can you go ahead and tell us about these guys?
Each guy?
And you don't want to talk about it?
It's like, I love, these guys are great. And I don't want to sit here and this guy's the greatest player that's ever came to the University of Washington. Just watch how fast he goes to the NFL. That's what everybody says on this. And so, I can't tell you how strongly I feel about these guys, but that's what it's going to sound like, and it's going to be everybody going, oh, here we go again. Let's get them here and see how they develop. But we got, I think, across the board, it's really what we needed. We really targeted, they want this many guys at this position, and it doesn't always work out like that. We're not going to take a guy just to take him to fill the need if we don't think he's good enough. And so we got our quarterback, we got our running back in Miles. I think Chico can play both. We got some receivers. Our tight end, we want to take the tight end. Michael Neal, I think, is an interesting guy. The O-linemen are as big as I've ever seen. We've always been those guys to really gravitate toward the athletic guys. And what's unique about these guys is they're athletic, but they're very, very tall and athletic. And so it's kind of a different look than we've been used to. And so we're excited about those guys. The D-line, we have a load up there. And all these guys bring a unique skill set. They're all a little bit different. They really are. I think that's a great combination. We don't have enough linebackers around here. We've been saying that for a long time. So we've got 5 guys, maybe a guy or 2 who kick, into that buck position. But those guys are so critical in terms of special teams and athletic guys who can run. And DB Zeke is here, and Jordan Miller and Austin. I mean, those guys are, love the potential of sitting there with those guys. Really, really excited. AJ Cardi, I mean, nobody wants to talk about a long snapper. I'll tell you, this guy can fire the rock. He really can. It's amazing how he can snap the ball. So, if you want specifics about any one guy, I mean, I'd be glad to tell you my opinion, but I think that, you know, across the board and on paper, we feel really, really strong about it.
You always say that coaches like to recruit guys that have a lot that they see themselves in, right? You play quarterback. You play quarterback.
I'm the exact opposite of that.
What do you see in Jake Browning that you see in yourself as quarterback?
So that, yeah, I think your philosophy is very flawed. The question was, coaches like to recruit guys that see themselves in those players, and I don't see Jake Browning in myself, so that throws that out right there. But I think the characteristics that we're looking for, you know, as you go through the years and you really try to figure out what you think is important, Jake's got all those things. I mean, first and foremost, he is such a student of the game. And I don't know if that's first and foremost. He's got talent. He's been throwing the ball forever. I don't know how many balls that guy's thrown in his life. It really hit me when we went down. I went to watch him, not even the game, it was a practice before they played one of their final games, and how many balls he just threw in practice that did not hit the ground. And the volume of balls, and how he's been coached and all those things. So he's got all the, you know, he's got all the intangibles that you like to see in a QB. And we're just excited that he's here now and getting down into how we do things.
Coach, every program wants to dominate the state. How tough was the battle to get the kids to Washington State or not go across the state?
Yeah, how tough was the battle? I'll tell you what I will say. That whole process was really, really enjoyable in terms of, I think the kids in this state get the power and the beauty of this university, and not just football-wise. I think they get the value of the degree that they're going to get coming out here. I think they value they can see the connections that they can make out of this place. I think they saw the whole picture. And so I've said, you know, since I've been here, I mean, everybody wants to talk about, you know, taking care of their backyard and their state. And that's much easier said than done. I mean, these guys are highly recruited guys and have a lot of different choices. And everybody, you know, with the social media, there's no hidden guys anymore. And so that's hard to do. But I think that they matched us, the things that we're all about. I think they're really excited about coming here and playing. That's another thing that really, you know, you just feel that. And I think that gets us excited. And I think our coaches, like, they bonded and connected to the coaches that are going to coach them.
For as many years as you've done this, whether it's an assistant or as a head coach, have you ever seen a recruiting battle go all the way down to literally flip a coin?
Hey, I've seen a lot of different things, you know, and I think you always, as you do this more and more, you see different things. And I will tell you this, I don't even kind of think of that stuff. I think about these guys that are here right now, and this is an awesome day. I mean, the only thing that I really wish is tomorrow, a little bit like the NFL draft, like tomorrow you can bring them in and you can start doing something like a mini camp. And so we'll have to bide our time, let them graduate from school, and we'll get them here real soon.
That being said, you had a remarkable record this year of maintaining guys.
Yeah.
I mean, this went really literally by the numbers for you today.
Yeah.
What's your secret in order to be able to maintain these guys?
And it's, you know, I don't think it's a secret. I think it's how, like, recruiting should be done. We don't try to put pressure on these kids at all. This is not this shouldn't be a high pressure thing, and it turns into that because these kids have choices. Our whole thing is not to sell anybody. We believe strongly in what we're doing, but we don't want to have to sell anybody. We really want to say, hey, this is who we are, and these are the guys that we're looking for. And if you're about these things, which we really think you are, then that's when the magic happens. And don't, you know, go home and think about these. Don't commit on emotion, because that wears off quickly. We want this to be heart and soul, that this is where you want to be. This is your top choice, no matter if anybody comes in. And so we've kind of always recruited like that, and that doesn't mean you don't have some last minute things now and again, but for the most part, this is how it should be. You know, it's should be just kind of matter of fact. And, you know, usually there's so much drama in a little bit in the old days just because nobody really knew everything, and now you guys know so much, and things are decided so much earlier. And as long as you can not have a bunch of drama at the end, you feel good about it.
Chris, you talked about Jake being a student of the game. Do you see characteristics that are similar from that standpoint to Kellen Moore?
I think there's, yeah, I think when you have really good players in certain positions, you're always looking for those characteristics, and so certainly we do. You know, I hate to put any expectations, you know, and say he's going to be like this and those type of things, but I think there's a lot of them. And I think the first time that we ever walked into Jake's high school, his coach said that to me, because I know you hear this all the time, but we got Kellen Moore, you know, that type of thing. And so I think there's a lot of good characteristics there.
You, this year, everything out here, a lot of, especially DBs running back, do kids talk to you or your assistants a lot about playing both ways, or can they have a chance to try that? Did you hear any more of that than normal?
I think you might hear a touch more about that. But I think the thing that's interesting is I think some of these guys could do that. Now you have to get them dialed in to one time. You saw it with Shaq, you saw it with John Ross. And it's too hard to say that guy's going to be a full-time two-way player. I mean, the game is too fast, the game is too physical, the game is too everything to make that happen. Like, can you have packages? Can you do some things? You can. I mean, there's a couple guys on this list that we're trying to go, is he an offensive, defensive player? And those are good problems to have.
Could you talk about your recruitment of Austin Joyner? He was committed,
Yep.
as a running back, committed to
Yep.
another school, wanted to play defensive back.
Yep.
You never saw him, didn't offer him. Can you tell us the story behind that?
So I think that's a great guy right there talking about playing what side of the ball. I mean, to me, it started with, you know, he had all his tape as a running back, and he did play on defense, but it wasn't as a corner. So we never really got a chance to see him backpedal. And I think that's one of those positions you really need to see a guy play at that position. And so you know, tape only can do so much for you. You know, you can see a lot of things, but there's nothing like being around him in person. And so then, you know, we kind of heard that he wanted to play corner. And so we're like, you know, we just like to see you move around a little bit. And so anyways, we got to do that. You know, it was in the summertime, and he was over here at the camp, and we got to see him move around, and it took about, I think, about 25 seconds to go. He can play what he wants to play, and we're good with that. And so we're really excited. I mean, I think the thing that Austin has going for him is, I mean, the number one thing that I think jumps out is, I think a lot of people will say, like, his versatility, his athleticism. To me, the thing that jumps out is his competitive spirit. And I think he's got a heart of a lion and not going to back down. And that's the thing that just gets us excited about it. We need more of that around here. And I can't wait to get him here and see what he's got.
Is there an example or two, Chris, of this season maybe reflecting in any philosophical changes in recruiting in terms of body types or intangibles or things that you've learned at the Pac-12 level that might reflect on, you know, maybe going after a different type of player?
No, because, you know, again, I just really thought that, you know, where I came from, we were always trying to get the very best possible player, but it wasn't like, oh, we don't want him, you know, he's too good. You know, you're trying to get the best players you can. And, but we know what we're looking for in terms of like the mental makeup for the most part. Now, you know, I preface that with saying we're talking about 17-year-old, 18-year-old kids, and mental makeup. I mean, you know, we got a lot of growing to do here, and so you're projecting some things. And so, what I think is great about this place is like I said, I mean, I haven't changed my message from the start. One of the reasons that, you know, we're all here is I think the university is spectacular in terms of the education kids are going to get. I think the conference speaks for itself. It's as good and competitive as anything out there. So a lot of these really good players want to be involved with those type of things. So I don't think it's really changed. You know, we're trying to get the best possible players, and I think we were able to get in some guys that we really feel great that they're coming here.
Coach, how different was it this year? We had the full year
Yeah.
relationships compared to a year ago?
It was a lot different. Just in terms of just felt more how what we're used to, how this process is. You build these relationships. You feel really good about their families and them. That's why I don't think there's a lot of flip-flopping going on, those type of things when you can do it. I will go back to say last year. I mean, I felt awesome about that. Those guys last year in our short time that we had, because I think there's a lot of good players there. I think there's some good players that redshirted, and we had a real short window to work, and it was chaotic, and it was hectic, and we had to work really, really quickly, which I don't think that's really the ideal situation. But overall, it felt much more correct this time through, which it should.
But with the offensive line, you take a look down, it says 6'6", 6'6", 6'7",
Yeah.
6'8", Devin Burleson, 6'9", Caleb McGarrett.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about offensive linemen and just that height as opposed to guys, inside guys, a little squattier, a little better.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, a lot of times the guys that are tough to find are these long, lever, tall, athletic guys. And for whatever reason, we got these guys kind of in bunches here, these tall, tackle type guys. The short, it's easier to find shorter people than taller people. We've learned that. And so, I think it could be a little bit cyclical. I think these kids are getting bigger and better and more athletic, and so maybe they're out there. I mean, the first question is how's these quarterbacks going to be able to seal these guys? They're not going to seal them. If they're 6'4" and you have a 6'1" quarterback, you're not going to see one of those guys anyways. It's all about finding lanes, and that's why this quarterback thing is so interesting and so delicate. That it's like, how is this guy operating in the pocket when he can't see things? He can't see things because his guys blocking the lane, or the D linemen are all 6'4" now too. I mean, so they're not taller than any of these guys. So you got to find lanes. And I will go back to this. Like this is icing on the cake to us. These frames, this is how you kind of like them to look. But this doesn't mean that they're going to be really good players. It's all this other stuff: how they move their feet, how tough they are, how strong they are, how quick they are. All those type of things really get determined. We've had a lot of really good players that are 6'2", around there. So you get those type of guys with this right now, all of a sudden something kind of cool is happening.
Quick balance as an athlete.
Yeah.
The guy wanted to come in with some
I think we've kind of thought we're going to probably move him, start him on the offensive side of the ball. He's one of those guys that I think he could play on the defensive side in 2 seconds. We're just kind of looking about, how are we going to get this guy on the field the quickest? That's what we're always doing. And or like, where's your heart? And I think he could see himself playing both sides. But I think we'll probably look at him a little bit on the receiver side to start with.
What was your recruiting strategy with Bryce when you started?
Be more specific.
Well, just in terms of your plan to recruit him and why did the offer come when it did, those kinds of things?
I think that might be our plan down the road. We're not going to offer anybody to about 3 weeks left, just so everybody else stays away. So as soon as we offer guys, and these guys got 10 offers. I mean, that's the thing that gets you so irritated about the whole recruiting thing. I mean, it's just, there's so much copycat stuff out there. And it's even more so like right now, even earlier. The guy gets 1 offer, he's going to get 10. Exaggerating, but there's some kids that do that. There's certain kids you just really look at a long time and felt very strongly about him for a long time. And I think at the end of the day, we always felt we were going to try to make him a Husky. Sometimes it just takes a little bit longer. I can't tell you how much tape we looked at it. Getting around him a little bit more. I mean, that was very quick to figure that out. He's a really good person, comes from a great family and all those things. And there's always some things that maybe just slow the process down, and you're deciding numbers and all those type of things. But I'm excited about this guy. I mean, here's a big old. He's 6'4" and 230 right now, and he's a track guy that can run, and that kind of shows up on tape. And so I'm really excited to see what his development's going to be all about.
Coach, in general, how hard is it to judge for those small school kids that maybe don't play on school level?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a little factor. I mean, it's like, what's the league like? Who they're playing against? What's the guy look like that he's going against? Those type of things. small school guys that we've taken over the years. I mean, we just had, last year, where it came from, a kid that walked on for us from 8-man football with the Denver Broncos. And then 2 years before that, the kid was almost an 8-man football, but it was 11-man. It was a first-round draft pick for us. So you pay attention to that. That doesn't mean, whatever level, they can't be the cream of the crop. But I know you know that. But it's a little piece, but it's just part of the puzzle when you try to figure this out.
Do you see trends over time, or is it just up to individual as far as geographically where town is? Eastern Washington versus Northwestern leagues and so on. Are there certain areas that year after year you kind of look to more, or are you just tracking into it?
It's really population based. As a general statement there's no question that there's more people, there's going to be more players. That's where so many come out of California. So many come out of Texas. So many kids play football in Texas, Florida, and those places. So it's really first and foremost population based, but where football is important. But I think football is important here. I think we got a good population base. I think there's a lot of good players. I think there's a lot of good players that are coming here next year, and I think there's a lot of good players in the state that are actually going elsewhere to play as well. And I mean, I think I love that we can recruit a good chunk of right here in our backyard. I think that's what everybody would like to do, start there.
Coach, one of the under the radar guys, Ben Kirkland, we didn't even hear when, we had to figure out who it was while we were doing a radio show, but then he came out to say that Denise is not.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit?
I mean, and I think that I really do about all these guys. I mean, and so, Ben's, he's just a football player, and, comes from a smaller school, but they won all their games. And you go down there and you watch how their coaches are like, they're on it. They know what they're doing, so you see all those things, and you get to figure out what kind of student he is, and what his family is like, and all those things are really, really awesome. And then you put the tape on it, and you're like, wow. I love that when you guys, don't know about it. Because there's just so much hype out there, and some of it's legit, and a lot of it is just so much. That's all it is. And I love the kids that are, I think, underrated. And, I could go down here and I just chuckle at some of the stuff that I think how much these guys are underrated. But I don't want to sit up here too and say, like I started this is the greatest. We just got to see how they can handle this process.
How about the wrestler?
What's that?
How about the wrestler?
Yeah, Tev's one of them. Okay, so love wrestlers. I think one of the toughest guys on our team right now is one of the most mild-mannered guys that you would know is Matt James from Coeur d'Alene High School. I mean, this guy's as tough as they come, and he's a wrestler. And that's his background, and that's been my experience over the years. You get those. The one thing you're not going to have to worry about is the toughness factor. And Tevis is an elite wrestler. You go to college to wrestle, and you go and I watched him wrestle. I mean, I was there at his practice for probably an hour and a half, and I was exhausted in 20 minutes, and that was the warm up. But I'm not kidding. I'm like, that was the warm up. And so, he's got that toughness, and then you walk into a school, and the coach, there's certain things that you're looking to hear when you're recruiting guys without really prompting you. Coach, so this is a once in a lifetime type player for us. Those type of things in terms of the type of athlete, what he can do, and so those things. As you check in your boxes that you like to hear, and so coming out of Wyoming, and we could be more thrilled about him. Really wait and see what he's going to develop into as well. Unbelievable student. I mean, off the charts on that, and so you need all these things because I've said forever. I mean, in the recruiting world, everything's the greatest thing ever, and the stadium's the greatest, and this is going to be so much fun, and this is going to be, no, it's not going to be so much fun. This is going to be a great process for you. It's going to really help you grow as a young man, but it's going to be the hardest thing you've ever done. And so, when these guys fit that mold, that's what we're looking for, and that's when we get excited about going. This guy matches this.
You talk about the steps you go through, your coaches, your staff, gather non-football information on
And so it's just whoever we can talk to is connected to the, you know, you go to start with the school, if they play another sport. And, you know, I always say this, we gotta make sure that people like this guy other than his coach. Because who doesn't like their best player? I mean, you know, we all like our best players. And so when you walk in and the secretary saying, oh, that is a great kid, you know. I mean, we pay attention to that loud and clear, those type of things.
Kyler Lonnie is one of the players you talked to, I mean, has been recruiting the most, the longest.
Which guy?
Kyler Lonnie?
Kyler Minogue, yeah.
Yeah, what was it about him that, you know, got you curious all the way back when you were a boy?
Yeah. You know, nothing in particular, just checking the boxes. You know, it's the same old thing. I mean, I could kind of be a broken record on a lot of these guys. I mean, he comes from a really good high school program. They just win and win and win, so he knows how to win. He's been one of the better players for a long time. Really good student, really good family. He put on the tape, he runs around. You know, we've been around him enough to know he's the athletic type guy that we're looking for. You know, this whole thing is about, it's about guys that are going to be able to develop. You know, if this is just how they are when they come here, it's not going to be good enough. And so that's why you need like these guys that got that chip on their shoulder, that are willing to work and grind and be pushed. Because, you know, the programs that are successful, those programs that you can keep, you know, you take 23 guys and 20 of them turn out to be just heart and soul of your program in a couple of years, and they're good players because they just kept their head down and they just keep swinging. No matter if they play as true freshmen or they got a red shirt, but you know, they go through a 2-year process, they're just hungry and they're just grinding and just getting better. And so to me and to us as coaches, that's why like, you know, this mentality of what we're getting is more important than just a raw talent. And I think if you look at the articles that's been out about, you know, all the 5-star guys that played in the Super Bowl, which were how many? 0. There wasn't one 5-star player in the Super Bowl. And then you go to the 4 stars, you know, there was, I think, you know, 7 on one team and 5 on the other. And then you go to the 3 stars, and that's what, and then the rest of them were. I mean, that's what it is. It's even at the highest level. And why is it? In my opinion, it's because they just are passionate and they got that toughness and they keep working and they, you know, they get brick wall after brick wall and it doesn't deter them.
You talked about how big those factors are. How big is the factor of players enrolling early now, because it seems to be more and more in vogue?
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I think when the players come early, I think it's great. But I will say this, I mean, I think it's great if it works for them. We like that. But I also get being a senior in high school, one time to finish out your senior year, graduate, you know, with your boys. I mean, Jake Brown, he's going to go down there and walk with these guys and all that, but some guys play another sport. I don't want to pull them out of that unless they just don't want to do that anymore. I mean, some of these guys might be lucky enough to get a prom date. Well, what about that? Let's go to prom for the last time. So I think all those things are important, you know. If a guy just really, hey, this is what I want to do, and the family's all good with it, love it. Come join us early.
Are you a proponent for the early signing period?
I am.
How hard we push for that?
Well, we have been for a few years. I will say this. I think it's a little bit of Pandora's box. You know, I think there's going to be some stuff that we're going to, oh man, this is not helping us. I don't know exactly what that is. I got a couple ideas, but I think we need to try it and see where we are, because so many of these guys have been committed for a long time, and I think it would probably help everybody.
Can you talk a little bit about Benny?
Benny, yeah, really excited. I mean, another guy that's, you know, he's a Washington guy, and he needed to stay put. And, you know, I think, you know, he's a very physical player. I think he's going to be a leader as well. And I think, you know, when this whole process started, I don't think maybe in his mind he was going to do something different, carve his own path. But I think at the end of the process, you know, he kind of figured out that, you know, this is his place. This is where he needs to be. And really, we're thrilled about that guy. And can't wait to get him in our locker room.
Thanks, everybody.